Perfect. All right. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Jeremiah Angel, Vice President of Web Operations. Been with the company for about 19 years now. Been a long time. I've done a lot of roles and held many hats in this organization, from running our merchandise department to working for Best Buddies California, being their marketing and communications director, to becoming the marketing director of the rides. And now my role is a technologist for the organization at the VP level. In addition to myself on the call today, we have Lee Mosler. Lee Mosler joined us. How many months ago was it? Probably 6.
Yeah, something like that. 6, 7 months ago. I started at the end or the beginning of December.
Yeah. And many of you know, if you've submitted an email ticket or a state website update, Lee handles the majority of those tickets. So I'm just here to assist as a backup when Lee's on vacation. So I know you guys have all worked very closely with Lee, and he's a great asset. He has a wealth of background when it comes to marketing and e-communications that he brings to the table here. So we're really happy to have him on board. As I mentioned before, some of the resources that we do have an email teams group, an e-communication team group. If you don't have that, if you're not already a member, I'm going to go ahead and share the link in the chat. And please go ahead and add yourself in that group. We do offer almost weekly, maybe every other week, kind of some guiding principles. We maybe share articles. We share any national communications that are coming out, so you can get a heads up before it actually hits your inbox. There's also some guidelines in the tab section, some basic best practices, a lot of stuff that we're going over here, but in more of a list format. So with all that started kicking off, and let me go ahead and share one more little thing here in that chat too. And we're going to be, if you don't mind, go ahead and open up your chat as well. And we're going to be sharing links periodically throughout this presentation here. The next link that I'm going to be sharing is our Summa wiki. And again, this wiki is a step-by-step instructions how to build an email within the Summa system. We're going to go over the actual Word document templates that we actually prefer, but that's there for you guys to have too. All right, Lee, take it away.
All righty. So we're going to start off with just some very basic email marketing basics, if you will. If it's a way to kind of understand what your audience is looking for and also what the providers are looking for, because we want to make them happy because they, obviously deliver our emails, and we also want to make our readers happy so that we get more engagement, we get more participation, and we get more opens. So with this, the importance of email marketing for Best Buddies is just to keep our mission and our focus in front of them at all times. We do this in formed by monthly newsletters and event emails. We consistently celebrate stories of our mission impact with clear calls to action. We'll go through what clear calls to action look like in the future. So before we start looking at what our mission is and how we get that in front of everybody, we need to understand a couple things first. We have to understand how we get open rates higher and how we get engagements higher. Open rates just kind of tell us who's opening the emails, and the engagement is a measure on how they interact with our content. So if you have any type of events going on, you want to engage how many people are clicking on those links versus how many people are signing up. That's the basics of engagement. High open rates and strong engagement are signs that our emails are actually resonating with our audience and that we can consistently get them coming to our events and opening our emails. So whenever you get an email, the very first thing you're going to see is the subject line. I'm sure everybody here has gotten an email that has a completely spammy subject line and some that are just completely vague and you have no idea what's going on. These things are crucial because that's the first thing our readers see. So we want to make sure we are crafting engaging subject lines that are kind of enticing them to open it up. Obviously, it piques their interest, and it also gives them a reason to open the email instead of just guessing what it is. So the first way we can do this is actually by personalizing our subject lines. So we connect with the reader by using their first name as a placeholder. You've seen this before where we can put first name, and then if that's not in the system, it'll say, hi, your friend, friends, whatever. We can change it to whatever it is. But some of these personalizations could look like, John, Best Buddies is making waves, or Megan, this is your week. Something that's engaging Little bit vague, but kind of piques that interest. Next, we can also use their location to connect. Using a location is really great because if you're in New York and you're getting emails from New York City, but you live all the way in Buffalo, it's not going to make much difference to you. However, if we're targeting and bringing people into a specific area saying, hey, we have a new event in NYC, or in this case, John, connect with buddies in Chicago. Megan, Miami is calling your name. These are ways to get people involved in their area. And obviously, we want to target those people as well. We'll talk about targeting a little bit further. Like most things, be short and sweet. We don't want to waste their time, and we don't want them to feel like we're wasting their time. So when we connect with our readers in the subject line, we tell them what they need to know. We don't make them guess. We want to pique their interest, but not to the point where, we're losing them. Keep subject lines short. Don't go over 50 characters. Most email programs will cut them off. You'll see something like, hey, such and such, this is ... If we've gotten to the ... and we haven't explained or even piqued their interest, it's not going to matter. Most of the times they're just going to keep moving. After they've opened the email, then we need to start telling a story. A powerful tool to engage and connect with our audience is through storytelling. We can craft stories that align with our mission, that resonates with our audience. And everybody here has amazing stories to tell. So you don't need to go out and just try to make up great stories. You just need to document what's going on in your organization already. For instance, most of you had friendship walks. There are stories out there that can resonate with every single person on your list because of something that happened at the friendship walk. Something great happened, or something fantastic that was kind of unforeseen. When Yun was talking about how she was interviewed in Hawaii for the friendship walk. That's a great story. That's something that we can highlight to our readers. Next is by showing our mission impact. As a nonprofit, we're always fighting an uphill battle. We always have to go against people who either don't believe in what we're doing, don't think that their money is going to the right spot, or it's always a battle of trust. And so the best way to combat against that is to actually show them where their money is going, what impact we are driving. So when you're crafting your emails, always ask yourself, does this motivate me to take action? Because if it doesn't, and it doesn't get you excited, we can't ask our readers to get excited about it. Now, let's go to nitty-gritties. Proper imaging. I love a lot of your images. Some of them just don't work for email. They are great, but they are so broad. There's no way to actually tell what's going on. And 81% of all of our emails are being read on mobile. So if you have an image that is all these people having a great time, but it's being shrunk down to a porthole about this big, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on. If you have to, click the image and zoom in to understand what's going on in this picture, that's not what we want to do. Images do help us break up text and keep the reader engaged, but bad images can actually turn a reader off faster than a bad subject line. So what we've done at Best Buddies is kind of make everything uniform. All of our images need to be in JPEG format, 1200 pixels width, 630 pixels wide, and have very little writing, preferably no writing at all in the images, because again, those emails are being shrunk down to be able to be viewed on mobile. We want to make sure that everything is being, legible on mobile. We put images with writing in them, it's going to be almost impossible to see. And then also make sure all your images are clear and you can clearly see what's going on. Here's a couple, here's one good image on your right and two really bad ones on the left. If you notice the one on the left, the top left, same image as the right, but this one's kind of been pixelated. What happened is this was a low quality image that was then stretched to fit its viewing port. That's not going to work for most people because it's going to look grainy, it's going to look blurry, and it just doesn't convey the same message. The one underneath that, bad contrast, good contrast. When we put text on images, anytime you put what's called a complementary color, so something that's a light color on a light background or a dark color on a dark background, they're going to kind of blend together. It's going to be impossible to see. And the darker you go, the harder it gets. So we want to try to keep everything contrasting. So if you have a light background, you want a dark color. If you have, again, dark background, light color. Black, you want white lettering. White, you want black lettering. Something like that. All right, calls to action. A call to action is a prompt that encourages or directs someone to take a specific action. Learn more, register here, RSVP today. These are how we tell the audience on what we want them to do next. No communication should ever go out without a call to action, period. If you're telling them about what's coming up, you have a friendship walk coming up, you have a new event coming up, you always want to make sure that they know what the next step is. Because if they don't, you're liable to lose them. You're actually going to lose that engagement. With click-through rates, we want to get them moving forward, and the way we do that is through click-throughs buttons. So this is how we can actually measure what's going on and where they are going. So a call to action is for them to do something. The click-through is the people who are actually moving to that next step. This is what we can see. The average click-through rate is about 2.62%. So for every 100 people, you're going to get 2.5 people to click through. We use this information to understand what our audience wants. We can even track mobile usage, what link they clicked on, or even a general location. Some of our tickets have requests for us to send PDFs or to send images or attach videos to the emails. We cannot attach email or attach anything inside of mass emails. That'll actually get us spammed. And from what I can tell, Summa does not have that ability at all. I guess they took that out. They were like, we're not even gonna try it. So if you want to send a PDF, we just write it out, put it inside the template, write it out in the template. It's not all that hard. If you want to attach a video, upload it to YouTube or Facebook, send us the link. We'll put it in the email. And if you have like a PDF of an image, like Friendship Walks have maps, some other events have maps in a PDF format, that's not a problem. We can put those on the website and then link back to the email itself. And then finally, let's put our mission first. This is what we're here for. We should be telling everyone we can about the people we impact. And it really does come down to a 3-step process. We write a captivating subject line, we tell a compelling story, and then we instruct the reader on what they do next. Because the more people we can get coming back, going forward, the more impact we can have. Jeremiah?
Awesome, Lee. All right. Well, now we're going to talk a little bit about actual templates that are available to you within Summa. And again, we ask that you download the email templates, and I'm going to go ahead and share the newsletter template real quick in the chat. Many of you have seen this before. Maybe about 3 months ago, we rolled out a brand new template with the idea of trying to unify basically the brand identity and consistent communication strategies revolving around our monthly newsletters. One of the big primary reasons we did this, we wanted to make it as easy as possible for you guys to come up with content on a regular monthly basis for your emails. We send tons of emails throughout the year that are just asking for things, asking for a donation, asking for a registration, asking. But one of the problems is we're not telling stories about why they should actually support us. What is our impact that we're having? And once we continue to regularly share the stories of our mission impact, they're going to be more likely to give us $1 when we ask for a donation. They're more likely to register and start fundraising on our behalf. So we created a very, very simple newsletter that basically has three sections to it. There's a featured participant, and this can be a person with a disability or without a disability. We have plenty of volunteers that have great stories, and we've impacted their lives just as much as the buddies. Secondarily, we have a mission moment, which is more the broad picture. So not just focusing on one individual and how we change that one person's life, but how we're changing the community at whole. And then the third section is our upcoming events. And we really want to not necessarily put every upcoming event in one email, because some of you guys have 10 events going on an entire month, depending on how active your state is. So just having one call to action, hey, here's a quick recap of the events that we have with a link to the full event calendar, which is on your website. Scrolling down a little bit, continuing this conversation too, this is the second portion of the email where we're talking about the mission section. One of the key things to this too is, again, like Lee said, 80% of these emails are actually opened on a mobile device. If your emails are over 300 words, people are going to be scrolling for days. It's going to take forever to get out of it. And now if you're using an iPhone, when you open up an email, after 300, I think it's almost 350 words, you can't even scroll anymore. You have to click a read more button to actually pull it up. So again, we want to just entice the users to, to read a little bit of section and then have a really strong call to action to read more about a story. So you just a couple lines about the event that the person that you're trying to feature, the community aspect, and a call to action to go read more on your websites. Maybe other calls to action, register for the Friendship Walk, whatever that is. So again, the big driver is here. We want people to click on the emails and go back to the website where they can get involved in numerous ways, whether it's making a donation, registering for an event, etc., leading them to the website out of the emails. Next slide. And Lee, what number are we on to? 18. So, okay,
18.
perfect. Yeah. So featured participants too. So again, we want to celebrate our amazing participants, sharing their stories and how our programs have made a difference in their lives. We have some really good featured examples here, which I'll share right now in the chat. And these will just give you a good idea of some of the stories that we're looking for. We're not asking to go too overboard on how in-depth on these stories. If you want to get more in-depth, if you want to share a preview of the story, if we want to add, another 600 plus words to the story, let's add that to your state state website. Again, the state websites, the news and story section, that is supposed to be the best of the best content. So I think all of you shouldn't really have too much of an issue finding once a month, finding one participant in all of your programs to highlight in this fashion. And definitely take a look at those examples. These are some key storytellings that, let's just read this one for a second that I put in here. It says, this is Jeffrey here. Enrolling in a new school can be tough for any teen, but when it comes to Jeffrey Taylor, recently moved from Chicago to St. Louis, his anxiety making new friends was soon replaced with excitement after joining Best Buddies chapter at Applegate High School. Jeffrey, a self-described shy young man with autism, was immediately welcomed by the chapter members, and within a week of joining Best Buddies, was already planning after-school hangouts with his new friends. And then a quote from the participant too. Best Buddies is a lot of fun. Last week I went to a pizza party. Next week we're going to the Cardinals baseball game, said Jeffrey. And again, we're excited to share a story, learn more. There's a call to action. Go visit the state website, go to the friendship programs of the site. So this is the kind of storytelling that we really want to try to get you guys to focus on. We identified a problem. Jeffrey's moving to a new school. He doesn't have friends. That's the problem. Best Buddies is the solution. By joining the chapter, he's made friends. He's already going to all these chapter events. And then here's how you can get involved and do something similar. Or maybe somebody that receives this newsletter, maybe their niece or nephew is somebody with an intellectual disability. They can click there because they want their relative to join Best Buddies and have the same experience. So again, take a look at those. We'll be adding that document that we've shared. We'll continue to add as we find great stories that you guys are providing. We'll continue to add to that database. Also, too, just so you know, when you submit these stories to Lee, those also, when he finds really good stories, he shares that with Jay Thomas, who handles social media for Best Buddies. And so oftentimes you'll see we're basically taking stories that you've shared on there and repurposing it for social media and other uses. After the featured profile, this is the big picture. So mission moment is what's going on in the entire community. So Are there new projects going on in your state? Or is there program expansion? Are there event highlights? Maybe a recap of their friendship walk. We did a lot of those this year in the last couple of months. Anything that shows our mission and whole that impacts the entire community. And again, this is really to show two things. It's to show our donors that we're putting their dollars to work and impacting people's lives. And it's to excite people to get more involved in our program because they're seeing all this cool activities that are happening. Next slide. We are on, okay, review the templates. Getting my links here. Again, this is the upcoming events section too. So again, lots of you have lots of events. We don't necessarily have to have, a huge listing of events here. We have some default graphics for upcoming events that the graphic design team has, and we can plop that in and then just put the dates and upcoming, a listing of the events. And then when they click view all events, that goes to your state website. One of the reasons we do this too is a lot of you guys have very specific campaign emails that are in addition to newsletters that get people to go to the events. So you have friendship walk events, friendship walk emails that are separate from newsletters. Same thing with Champion of the Year. Same thing with a lot of your other events. So the newsletter is really just a way to recap all your events in a short, quick manner. Okay. This is good. Lee just posted in the chat too. You can see a perfect example. Hawaii and California do a great job of creating a monthly calendar. And on that monthly calendar, you have lots of events, whether it's in person or some of these states are still doing, Zoom meetings and other fun activities too. So take a look at that link. And if you're not currently doing something like this, I would highly suggest it. Another reason being on your state websites, if you have 10 events, your key revenue generating events are going to get pushed to the back, right? So your friendship walk, your champion of the year. If you have 10 10 smaller events, whether it's a little happy hour, a citizens meetup, a middle school hangout, it's going to require people to click multiple go down a rabbit hole to find that high revenue event that you're so desperate to get registrations for. Next slide. In addition to the newsletter template, we have just a general event or campaign email. And these can be used for anything from, maybe you have an appointment announcement, say you're expanding or you're expanding to the jobs program just came to your state. And you want to just do a simple targeted email announcing this great thing. Or you have an upcoming event that's basically unrelated to the friendship walk or the champion of the year communications. We can add those to supplement the monthly newsletters. Again, it's all about keeping it short, getting them hooked, engaged, and clicking to your website where that event will ultimately live and have all the details of the event. Thanks. Lee just actually posted the link to the general event template as well. One thing with those templates too, please download them instead of editing the template within SharePoint and saving it. Because if you do that and you save it in SharePoint, everybody's going to see your edits and they're going to come to us and say, what is this? What happened? So the email resources file, I'll go ahead and share the link here. This is a great tool that you guys all have access to. And within this document, you'll see various tabs. It's just on SharePoint, and you'll see tabs that have examples of emails that other states have sent out, examples of e-newsletters, examples of campaign emails. One tab has just tons of images that we've used for headers and body images. So for instance, when you're trying to decide what header image do you want to use, there's a specific tab of that document, which we just linked to, that has over 50 possible headers that have already been designed by the graphics team. And you just have to point us to the direction. You just say, hey, use that header. We want this header. We want that header. Same thing with miscellaneous graphics too. We add more of these as they're created, but the graphics design team has some kind of fun little illustrations and stuff. These two examples are really great for like jobs emails. If you started a job program or you're looking to hire in the jobs program and you want people to solicit. So have those all available to you and please utilize them. Next slide. We talked about this before. Again, these are just some examples of the header images. Over 50 of them are in the resource file. As there's new photo shoots, as some of the states are doing photo shoots, leadership conference, we're going to be doing tons of photo shoots. We're going to have brand new ones. I know a lot of you on this call have probably seen these for a couple of years now. We haven't had leadership conference in person in quite a while. So we're going to have a ton of new headers to use after LC. Next slide. So let's talk about actually submitting the tickets themselves. We showed you the actual Word document templates and provided the links to those. That is our preferred method of submitting requests. We have some of you that are pretty good in Summa and working with HTML, and others not so much. And that's totally okay. We don't expect you to know how to code or not break an HTML email. It can get a little complicated. You might select some text, delete it, and all of a sudden you've deleted a whole table and your email's all wonky. So using those Word document templates is the best. Within the portal, all email requests have to be submitted through the portal here. There's basically two types of email requests. There is a state newsletter request, and then there are the Friendship Walk and Champion of the Year requests. So just be able to distinguish between those. Lee receives all the national and state campaign requests, and Lisa and her team, Haley, receive all of the Friendship Walk and Champion of the Year requests. But a lot of things we're going to go over here kind of relate to both of them. Next slide. So just just to go over some of the requirements for submitting a ticket, we do require a 5 business day lead time. Okay, that is super important. Some weeks we have over 40 email requests from you guys, and while we'd love to be able to handle those as quickly as you'd like and get it out the very next day, honestly, we just can't do that most of the time here. Also, too, Lee deserves a vacation every now and then. So when he's out, I have to cover for him. Lee's actually just to let you guys know, is about to go on maternity leave, so I'll be covering for him. And so that 5-day lead time is going to be extra important because I'll be doing the emails on top of everything else. So next thing too, again, completing the Word document template. When you upload the template too, if you've embedded images within the Word document template, it's really important that you additionally attach the original image file to your ticket too. You can upload multiple files to the ticket, but the reason being is when you import an image into a Word document, it actually compresses it and reduces the quality of the image. So if Lee and I try to save an image out of there, it's not going to look as good as the image that you put in there. So just upload those separately if you don't mind. Again, there's additional on that page too. There's additional guidance, talking about the blackout calendar here that Nicole manages. These are the national communications that come from Anthony. The most recent was the 4th of July email. That calendar is on the ticket form too. So just make sure when you're submitting a ticket, you adhere to those deadlines. If you do request a ticket on the blackout date, we'll reach back out to you and inform you that, hey, that's a blackout date. Can we move it to another day? Other thing with it regards to tickets too, some of the larger offices, we sometimes get multiple people from the offices, from the same state office submitting requests, and they're not really coordinating with each other. So they'll request 2 totally different emails to go on the same day. So we highly advise, if your state's large enough and has various regions that are sending communications, that you guys coordinate together before you submit the ticket so that you guys aren't overlapping your communications. Cool. Next slide. Understanding audience segmentation. So part of when you submit a ticket is asking, who is this email going to go to? It's referred to as a query. And essentially, there are tons and tons of options that we have for querying capabilities within Summa. And on that resource list that we previously provided with all the header images, you can see tons of examples of some of the querying capabilities the system has. If at any point you're not really sure what type of querying abilities are available before you submit a ticket, reach out to Lee and I and just have a conversation about the strategy. Because the more highly targeted you can get with the email, the higher open rates you're definitely going to receive. And we have a lot of stuff that we commonly do too. So here are a few examples. We have over the age of 21. So if a lot of this is for maybe events that involve alcohol related, that's a very easy query for us to do. Parents of active chapter members, that's something that are very, very common to do. Let's talk a little bit about zip code range. One of the really important things to think about is your databases as a whole, especially with the amount of peer-to-peer activities and activations we do. We have your donor, your Hawaii's database is going to be filled with peer-to-peer donors that are probably all across the country, probably some international too. So a lot of times states will request they have a say they have a pizza night event or something in their local community. They might request to us, hey, send this to the entire database, and we kind of push back and say, hey, wait a second, I think we should query this to a specific zip code range because 60% of your database doesn't live remotely close to attend that event. So anytime you want to consider like strategies, please reach out to us before you come up with those. Next slide. Again, just what we talked about before, the 50 miles, what you can do when you submit a query, you can say, hey, Lee, submit this 50 miles of this specific location, the event location, for example. What you're going to see, you're going to get higher open rates. People, if you say you have a pizza event in Los Angeles, I guarantee your donors that donated to the Friendship Walk that live in Wisconsin, they donated to your chapter members, their niece or nephew. They're not going to open that email, and it's just going to make our spam scores go down. The lower our open rates are, the higher our spam reputation score gets, which means Google, Yahoo, all these companies are probably going to just throw our emails into the clutter social promotions area. So that's really important.
All right. So I'm sure everybody has noticed over the last 6 or so months now, everybody's been talking about AI, ChatGPT, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, all these different programs are coming out that are giving people the ability to increase their productivity while decreasing some of their workload. Here at HQ, we use this quite a bit because we're having to write lots of emails. We use it to do spot checking on emails. We use it to kind of get ideas. There was one instance where Nicole and I spoke with Josh from Champions, and we took his entire interview. We broke it down into everything he said using an AI to transcribe. Took everything he said, threw it into ChatGPT, and then turned that entire interview into an email that we had pushed out for our 4 email sequence. So we can use these tools to kind of get a little bit faster in some of the things, but also do things that would have taken us, weeks or even months. I mean, getting somebody to transcribe an entire hour-long interview would have taken us, a couple days at minimum. I had it done within an hour after that interview. So one of the big tools we use here at HQ is the ChatGPT. Just like Jeremiah said, you can get a free ChatGPT account. Just by signing up, use your Google account if you have one. But it's an AI tool that can greatly aid us and is based off machine learning and learning language models. The model's been trained over a wide range of text, everything from Twitter to news articles to publications. It does date itself. It can only go all the way up to 2021. I think it's September of 2021. So it doesn't know current events. If you don't have the paid for version, you can't connect it to the internet. So it has everything that's there. What's great about it though, is when you want ideas for certain things, it'll tell you what you need. Whatever you ask, whatever you put it in, it'll try to give you the best answers possible. That being said, you need to be very careful of the information that it tells you. Sometimes ChatGPT can lie to you, and it's not doing so willingly. It's just it believes that certain events have happened or that certain statistics are just wrong. It can't cite back to specific areas. So always double check everything it's telling you. In the marketing world, it's fantastic. It really does help us understand a little bit more about the things that we can do, and it can even write you out a process for something that you don't know or don't have, aren't very comfortable with. The other one we use a lot is Grammarly. When I get tickets, every ticket that I get will go through Grammarly. I want to make sure your grammar is on point, that your spelling is proper, that it has a good flow, and we want to make sure that everything that you're sending out actually looks good. There's no run-on sentences. It actually makes sense. There's nothing worse than getting an email and trying to read it, and then you have words that don't belong in the same sentence it was meant for the next sentence, but they copy pasted. All things happen. So we use Grammarly to kind of get around all that. Grammarly uses AI to improve writing by combining machine learning and natural language processing, very similar to what ChatGPT does, except where ChatGPT is a learning language model. This is actually a natural language processor. Very similar, but one's all about the words you use, and the other one's about how you use them. The AI is trained on correct and incorrect examples to understand language patterns and fix errors, and this approach allows Grammarly to adapt the situation at hand. Grammarly's fantastic, and I do believe, just as Jared said, if you need an account, reach out to him. It can do amazing things, and it just installs right on your computer. You don't actually have to go to the Grammarly website to use it. That being said, let's answer some questions.
Awesome.
Sam, I see your hands up.
Okay.
Yeah, hi everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the PMX, the recently hired PMX in LA. In 9 days, it'll be 4 months with the company. Nice to be here. Sorry, my mic on. Can everybody hear me with this question?
Yeah, you're good.
Yes.
So let me just break this down here. You want us to, if we want to do a newsletter, you want us to fill out the Word templates that you send us with stories and calls to action and such, then save those documents with our modifications, then upload them to Summa, and then you send them out to what?
Not quite, Sam. So actually what you'll do is you'll actually download the template, you'll make the changes, you'll upload that to the ticket system, the ticket portal.
Yeah.
Then we'll take that document and we will put it into Summa.
Yeah. Okay.
And your state, and Sam, your state has a communications director, Jesse. All of the communications that are submitted for your state go through her. So you'd actually work with her to come up with this, and generally she submits the tickets.
Okay. Just want to make sure that I'm being aware of the chain of command here. But thank you very much, Jeremiah.
You got it. Yeah.
And also, I just wanted to mention as a personal, Hi Jesse, I just noticed your message. As a personal story, if you want to genuinely save time, I recommend installing dictation software. Dictation software saves someone like me a huge amount of time. I was able to, when I was in college, I was able to write a report that used to take me 3 weeks in 3 hours. So if you're tired of using ChatGPT or Grammarly, use dictation software as well. It sounds more natural.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Personal aside there, but thanks for answering my question.
Yeah, and on to that, Sam, just so you guys know how we also use ChatGPT too. Sometimes we'll submit it, we'll put all the content that we created in an email, we'll throw it in a ChatGPT and say, make this 200 words shorter, make this 200 words longer, make this more formal, make this more exciting, make this more fun. Like there's so many little tweaks that you can do and just quickly get it rewritten so that you're not just having to constantly think about these things yourself. Same thing with the subject lines. A lot of times I'll take the email that I've written, I'll throw it in ChatGPT, give me 10 options for subject lines for this email, and boom, it spits them out. If I don't like any of those, I can hit give me 10 more, and it'll spit out 10 more. It's so fast and just makes our job so much easier when it comes to kind of getting those creative juices spinning.
Absolutely. If you take everything that you wrote and then actually tell it what you want and then put an emotion in there, it'll actually do that. So we actually did that for AKS's email for the Father's Day email. We actually rewrote it using ChatGPT and tell it, become emotional. We want you to connect on an emotional level. And what it spit out was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, ChatGPT is almost like the new Google. Like if you don't know, if you're not using it right now, you got to start using it because it's going to help you tremendously. We just wrote a PSA script using it. Basically, give me a 30-second PSA script for Best Buddies International. You'd be shocked at how good this is. Anyway, any questions else regarding emails or best practices?
Oh
Yes,
yeah, I
Maria?
do. Yeah, you were mentioning for the subject line, you can put the receiver's name, like Moon, here's what's going on in Hawaii or something like that. So when we submit a ticket, how do we put it so that you folks know that we want the name or the location?
In the field that says subject line, just put first name, comma, whatever, and we'll know.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You could also add that into the notes itself. Just tell us, hey, we'd like to add, the name or the subject or the location. In your case, there's no island that's close enough to where you can do like a 50-mile radius and you're not going to touch another island. So we can actually hyper target your area so that we reach everybody, let's say on Maui or on Oahu, and have no crossover.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good to know. So first name, comma. All right. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, like for instance, John, look what's happening on Maui this weekend. And that way, only John or only the people in Maui are getting that. They're getting their first name and they're getting what's happening on Maui. So that just entices them even more. It's very personal, and it shows them it's someplace close to where they live.
Real quick before we call on Trisha, because I want to talk about something else, personalization that we have new, a new feature that came out within Summa. I still call it that sometimes too. That we're going to be really utilizing for event communications is that now when we include a register button, it will actually automatically log that person in and complete the form as that person. So for instance, for a walk communication, if you send an email and it says register now for friendship walk, or just register now, when I click on that, someone knows that email was directed to my profile. When I click that link, the form will pre-populate with my first name, last name, email, city, state. It'll ask me, if you're not Jeremiah, click here, and I'll unfill the form. But that's a huge time saver when it comes to completing donation forms, registration forms, contact forms, anything along those lines. Now, the person does have to be registered for the event last year. So if by chance I send an email and that person's never registered for a Best Buddies event, they'll log in, but they'll have to actually complete their information. But if they registered last year, so much of the form will automatically be filled out. So cool. Trisha, do you have a question?
So yeah, it was a quick question about what you just shared with the being able to separate areas like you gave the Hawaii analogy. But what can we do when it comes to like Florida? So for instance, Palm Beach, I butt up right against Broward. And so I'd want to find ways I love the idea of the radius, like finding that area, but I also don't want to encroach on like sending out stuff for the Palm Beach champion of the year when Broward is having their champion of the year and we're literally like 17 miles away from each other. But yet I want to reach into further areas in my county that might be 20 miles north. Have we figured out a solution for that?
You're in a very unique situation. There's a few offices that have a kind of similar, not very many, and I think there's like maybe 3 that are in that similar boat. I would say before you submit a ticket, let's have a quick call to discuss, hey, what's the ultimate goal here? and we can really kind of get down and gritty. There's not going to be a perfect solution in that because, you know, some people, like the Miami Friendship Walk's a perfect example. If I live in, say, you know, North Miami Beach, I might actually be closer to you know, the Broward Walk. So, but I might want to go to the Miami one because it's a bigger event. So, you know, that's a very specific use case, and we're happy to have an offline conversation to get to those points when you want to communicate in those regions.
Okay, thank you.
Well, listen, if there's no other questions here, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Again, Lee and I are always available. We'd rather you communicate and ask questions before you submit tickets too. So again, just like Trisha said, if she has a querying question before you even submit the ticket, just have a quick phone call with us. And secondarily, I do want to suggest if you're not a state that's currently doing a new newsletter, please start utilizing those templates because we don't just like sending solicitations out for donations and events without sharing mission stories. And I think the template that we have is really easy to do so. So we look forward to working with you guys. And Lee, anything else to share?
Yeah, actually, one last thing. As we're talking about AI, we did create an AI Teams group. I'm going to go ahead and post that into the chat right now. Come learn. After this, we're going to start putting more information into there. A lot of this presentation was helped through AI. We used a lot of AI to help kind of break down how we set up the process, how we built out the slides, how we even built out a script that we didn't follow. It was great. So we'll make sure to put all those things in there, and we'll start showing you how we're taking steps to maybe help out in your process. And if you have any questions at all, reach out. I'm on AI just about every day, and generally the go-to person in the office for it.
Well, everybody,
I'm sorry.
Give everybody
I'm
10
sorry.
minutes back and go ahead, Moon.
Oh, Lee, sorry, you were breaking up. Who's the go-to person for what?
Usually I'm the one in the office that everybody comes to for AI. If they need to know something about AI or how they can craft a better question or prompt, I do it with both ChatGPT and Midjourney to get the more I know of it, the more I can help.
Great, thank you.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and we look forward to seeing your communications. So talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.